Welcome to Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly with host Nancy Becker on Global Voice Radio. Nancy and her guests will share tips and recommendations on moving forward in your life and business now and not waiting till pigs fly. Here's your host, Nancy Becker.
Good morning, everyone. How are you today? And welcome to Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly, a podcast for and about small business owners who are tired of waiting for those darn pigs to get up and fly, and they want their business to soar higher now. Today, we're going to be talking to an expert who's going to get us soaring higher today. So, welcome to Tammy Sorrento. She has been an insurance professional for the past 20 years, and her experience includes selling insurance, adjusting, mediation, arbitration, litigation, compliance, regulatory reporting, audits. She has led and mentored other insurance professionals. Tammy has served on the Jacksonville Claims Association in various board positions and was the president in 2014 and 15. She is also an active notary. Tammy used her skills to open a business to keep others from getting scammed. And you know what else she is, which is what I find fascinating because we have a lot in common. She is a private investigator. I love it. And we've been sitting here chatting for the last few minutes about all of that. So welcome, Tammy. How are you today?
I am fine, Nancy, and thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I am so glad you've taken on this fun task.
It is fun. It is definitely challenging.
Yeah, I tell you. Okay, so we are still in the first month of a new year.
Yes.
And so there's lots and lots and lots of things that we can talk about as small business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love to talk about starting out. One of the things that you have a topic of interest on, which I was scammed this morning. So this is totally an appropriate topic. How does a business owner keep from getting scammed? Or in the case that they do, how do they protect themselves?
Well, as a business owner, same thing happened to me. When I first started the business, I got the IRS call where there's a warrant out for your arrest. And my first, just starting the business, I'm setting up the taxes, and I thought, oh no, I must have messed something up. And that was my first reaction. Like, my heart stopped. I had and when I got off the phone, my husband looked at me and said, Tammy, the IRS would not call you. So we all have these fears, and the scammers are finding our vulnerable points and exploiting them, no matter what it is. And it's a hit and miss. They send a boilerplate out to everyone, and if it affects one to where they really think that they're in trouble and they're going to send money to someone that they don't know, then they've won. Mm-hmm. So just one victim is worth it to them. But as business owners, we do need to protect ourselves. And as a business owner, it's funny that you mentioned that, because my business is to protect consumers when they are renting properties. And it can be vacation to long-term. So that's a niche. And I plan on moving to other areas as well, like vehicle purchases, anywhere that people are falling victim to scams. That's what I'm fighting. So when it comes to businesses, my mentor, when I first started, said, you need to have a team of people in place. You need, even though you are a small business, you need to be able to tap someone on the shoulder and always look for those areas that you are vulnerable. So it doesn't mean that you have to hire someone full time, but you definitely need to have someone on your team that you trust to be able to look for these vulnerable areas in your business. That's what I would recommend.
So I know that there are these organizations like Legal Shield and different companies like that are there to protect you, and it's $25 a month or whatever the cost is now.
Right.
Do they work? Are they something that a business should consider joining?
Well, to be honest with you, I have not tried them. And the reason is because the type of business that I am in, I can't afford to become a victim of a scam, because then who's going to trust me? Who's going to trust my business? So when you're determining, here's how much money I have, here's how much needs to go into marketing, here's how much needs to go to an expert to make sure that my business is safe and that the information I'm gathering on people, that it complies with regulation, and that any of this information will not be apprehended by the wrong person. So Legal Shield and etc., I think you kind of get what you pay for. So if it's that cheap, I would maybe start off with them, but definitely that's not the end all and be all. You definitely need to have a professional on your team.
And that would be you, correct?
Right, exactly. Because I am very methodical about making sure that information is safeguarded.
Okay. And at the end of this conversation, we will get into how does somebody contact you?
Oh, yes, definitely.
And how would they do that? But, considering, and what we were just talking about is I just got one of these ransomware emails this morning that, if I didn't send them $3,000 in Bitcoin within the next 72 hours, they were going to release all this horrible, videos and everything about me. Well, for most people, when you get something like that, you don't stop to think, how are they going to send out pornographic videos of me when I've never done anything like that in my life,
Exactly.
You're going to see that and you're going to go, and I know my heart kind of leaped up into my throat for a minute, and I went, oh my God, what am I going to do? And then I went, wait a minute.
That doesn't even exist.
That ain't going to happen, but for people who aren't as savvy as you and I are in something like this, they might, I let my husband know, and he immediately sent me the phone number to call the local Secret Service agency, and you just gave me the information on the FBI. So, we know where to turn for this, but somebody that doesn't know about all of this kind of stuff, they're going to start scrambling, trying to figure out how they're going to come up with $3,000 in Bitcoin.
Oh, no kidding. What a nightmare.
Yeah. So, it's something that I think, and my thoughts for me were that, why me?
Yeah.
And the email address they used, interestingly enough, is one that I have just recently started using.
Oh, really?
The other one has been out there for years.
Yeah.
And this one is new.
Okay.
But it's the one I'm using a lot lately, and it's a real catchy one.
Yeah.
So I'm going, as a business owner, now that people are starting to see and respond to that email address, that somehow or other alerted these fools.
Yes.
So that they've nailed onto. But I don't know that there is any way for anyone to protect themselves against this.
I agree.
Is it something that, as we just have to kind of say, this is something that as we grow our business, we're going to have to look out for?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And of course, you want to start earlier rather than later.
Now she tells me.
But in your situation, that is a very common. When I received my letter saying the same thing, that they had incriminating video of me, I researched that, and it's definitely a new scam. And it's, they're not going to get us, but imagine the people that they do, that it is effective. So that's why it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Because it is effective. Even if it's only 0.01% effective, that's $3,000.
Yeah, and I'm sure most people don't have that kind of money to throw away.
Right.
Especially if you're a brand new business. And then there's no guarantee that once they get you for that $3,000 that they don't come back and try to get you for more.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So as a business, these are things that we need to be aware of. And like I said, the vulnerabilities need to be identified early on. And especially if you're a business, you're either capturing credit card numbers, maybe birth dates, but information that is protected. And those are the kind of things that, as business owners, the one thing that can really sink your ship is that information becoming in the hands of people that it doesn't belong. So that's our duty as business owners, is to make sure that we are protected so that their information is protected.
Yeah. Well, and there's something that I've just started doing this month is I'm starting to add a payment portal.
Okay.
And I know a lot of people do this, and a lot of people use PayPal. And
yes.
Back in the day, PayPal had a lot of problems.
Right.
And I have several people that every month I run their credit card.
Yes.
Through PayPal.
Right.
But that means that I have to have that information.
Right.
Somewhere.
Yes.
In my office, either on my computer or written down or something. Well, PayPal has just gone to, and they didn't a year or so ago, but they are now doing it. They are allowing you to create a recurring payment.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So that I put the person's information in there once. The person then, I'm billing you. I'm putting your information into. You get a note from PayPal saying, is it okay for us to do this?
Right.
If you've okayed it, then it's out of my hands. I don't have to worry about it ever.
Yes.
I don't have to deal with your credit card or anything. It's all secure in PayPal.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It does. And you know what? That's definitely a step in the right direction. I would highly, highly recommend that. PayPal did withstand the early years. Mm-hmm. So they are still here. And that's a situation where now they are in control of that information. So that is the wise way to go for sure.
That gives the business owner a little bit of I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Yes, that's one thing off your list.
Yeah, it takes some of the responsibility so that if there is a breach or something,
Right.
It's no longer your responsibility. It's PayPal's problem.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, business owners listening to this conversation.
Yes. This is not the fun stuff, but this is the necessary stuff.
Right. And it's free. It
Yeah.
doesn't cost. If you have a business, it used to cost. PayPal used to do it, but it was like $26 a month to be able to do this.
Yeah.
And I got 3 credit cards I'm running. I'm not paying 26. That's one whole credit card process.
Right.
To cover. So I'm not doing it. But now they've converted it over in some way so it doesn't cost.
Yeah, nice.
And I think that's really a good thing for a business owner to consider.
Oh, absolutely.
It just, look at what I'm going to have to go through today to try to deal with this. It takes me probably a half an hour every month just to go through those credit cards, input all the information. And they say, well, you could just send an invoice. But when you send an invoice, that email address is out there and you're sitting there waiting for the client to accept the invoice and say, okay, pay it.
Right.
This is automatic.
That's perfect. Now you can spend that time doing something else.
Right. So, business owners, listen up here. If you like taking the time and the responsibility, go ahead and keep doing it the way you are.
Right.
Listen to us.
Right.
Anyway, moving on. One of the things that we had said we were going to talk about was social media marketing.
Yes.
And, how do you think is the right way to do social media marketing? And on top of that, how do you do that from a standpoint of keeping things legal?
Okay, so social media marketing, that is a beast, I have to say, with the new algorithms. I have a Facebook page and I have roughly 1,300 people following my Facebook page. But do you know that my posts, it's just you can see as a business owner, if you have a Facebook page for the business, you can see how many people that post reached. It's a sliver.
Yeah.
Considering how many people are following. So the social media marketing, that is kind of up in the air right now. Ever since the Mark Zuckerberg, being interviewed and what have you, a lot of things have changed. So just because you have a Facebook page and you're sending information out there, not everyone's getting it. And I know this to be true because even on the personal side, people that I follow, I don't see their posts like I used to. So you know what that's doing? That's forcing you to pay for marketing.
Yep.
So before, when I first started, the goal was to get as many followers as possible so that when I sent out content, then it reached all the followers. But that's not the case anymore.
Right.
It's changed. Have you seen the same thing, Nancy?
I have, absolutely. And then with this last week's purge on groups, I luckily, knock on wood, I did not lose anybody because I am very strict about how I bring people in
right
and into my groups. And if you don't ask for it, there's no way you're getting in.
Yeah.
But I have noticed that notifications have gone way, way down.
Yes.
And the number of people responding to posts has just I've gone from getting 40 to 50 responses on posts to 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. I am seeing the same thing.
Yeah. And you go, I've got 1,100, so you're just ahead of me a little bit. I'll catch up. But how, and that was a question that I had asked to the community is, all right, I know for a fact 1,100 people have asked to be a part of this program.
Yes.
Page, this group, this whatever. How come only 2 or 3 of you are seeing this? And and it's certainly not them. And I'll know one of the people that is one of my clients keeps saying, well, did you see this and did you see that on my page? And I'm going, no.
Right. Yeah.
Haven't seen a thing unless you actually go in and do a search.
Yes.
If you go in and say, I want to see Fireball approves posts in Facebook.
Yeah. Right.
I could see them.
Yeah.
They'll show up. But that takes a concerted effort.
Right.
That when I'm scrolling Facebook, I'm not necessarily thinking about.
Exactly. That is the truth. Yeah. And you know what? I am feeling the same thing.
Yeah.
It's actually desperating. Yeah. I haven't figured out that one yet, except to have more than one source. Like when I first started, I had Facebook to keep up with family and friends. That was it. Now Facebook is part of my job.
Mm-hmm.
And when I first started, it was, people were loving it. Now, even people that have signed up for the groups or liked my Facebook page, they're not seeing my content.
And I think from one of the things that, because I've been doing a lot of research on this lately, people will ask, well, how many times do you post a day? And I say, I try to post at least 5 things a day.
Right.
But of those 5 things, 1 may be sales.
Mm-hmm.
1 may be a live video. 1 is a picture. 1's a story.
Yeah.
You've got to have a variety of topics, and they all have to have some sort of value.
Yes.
And I don't, and this is something that I'd love your opinion on, because for various reasons that I won't necessarily go into, I do not post business things on my personal page.
Right. Me too. I'm the same way.
And there's a guru out there that says, oh, you've got to. But I'm going, no, I don't. However, I can post personal things on my business page.
Yes, true. Very true.
So, where I don't necessarily want to share all sorts of pictures of my little kitty cats constantly on my business page. I've got a picture I absolutely love where my cat is up on my desk, and it looks like he's reading one of my business books.
Oh my gosh, I bet that's darling.
Yeah, it is. And I'll post, well, here's my office assistant hard at work again.
Oh, that's awesome.
So that's funny.
Yes.
Personal, but business as well. And it gives people a sense of who I am as a person. And wouldn't you really want to work with this person?
Right. Now, I tell you, Nancy, what I will do is I will say on my personal Facebook page, I will say, hey, if you want information about this, and I'll include the link to the business page or the group.
And that's different. I think that's different. But I think I am finding, although everything has just gone topsy-turvy this whole last week, the more information that I put out there on my business page, the better off I am to get more responses.
Yes, yes. So that's all about creating content, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that just depends on what type of business you have. Now, if you're creating content on your Facebook page, what kind of content are you creating?
Well, I tell you what I do a lot, and I'm finding that it's the wrong thing to do as far as getting the word out. And so I will be completely transparent. Is in my line of business, I can just plug in the word scam. I plug in scam, and then I see what the newest scams are. So I'm very cautious about making sure that what I post on mine are state attorneys, are coming from state attorneys' Facebook pages, news outlets. So I share that all on my page. So it doesn't have to be just what my business is about. And I also do travel. So I don't want to be all fear. I want to be just like you, something that people will look at and say, wow, boy, I wish I was there right now, type of thing. So as far as mine is educational, mm-hmm. and the sales part is, don't you want to, be here, tag your friends that you would go to this place with, those sort of things. But what I'm finding is when people share the posts that I put on my page, my information is not going with that share.
Interesting.
That's new.
Yes.
And I had someone come back and tell me, hey, Tammy, I shared what you posted, but Fireball Approves is not coming over.
And that's interesting because that's a question that I've just been dealing with. Mm-hmm. Again, I've been taking these how to get people on your page type classes, and it says that and I'm not sure I agree with this, it says that on Facebook using hashtags is not valuable.
I've heard that too.
But in a situation like what you're talking about,
mm-hmm.
you've put this post out from the Attorney General.
Right.
Can you actually go into that post, or when you share it, can you put a hashtag in there?
Oh, that's a good idea.
Fireball Approves.
That, you know what? I'm going to try that, and I'll get back with you and see if that's different.
Yeah.
Because when you share something, someone else shares it, you can see that, mm-hmm. and then I'll go into that post and I'll say, well, it doesn't say.
Well, and there's
that came from my page.
Yeah, there's also something on the pages now that say when you share it, share the original post.
Okay.
And I can't, for the life of me, right at the moment, I can't tell you where you find that. But I think it's down in the bottom where you go to share it, and it says share. There's a little button that you can click that says share original post.
Okay, I'm going to look into that. So there's some things that you can do on mobile, or actually it's the other way around. A lot of these functions are available on a PC and not mobile.
Right.
But when I'm finding stuff, I'm usually, shopping, or I'm away from my computer.
Yeah.
So I'll share something that I find interesting. So that's another thing.
Make sure that when you share it, you put a hashtag in there.
Okay, I will.
See if that'll help. And that actually reminds me of another thing that I think is very common and people need to not freak out over. It was a couple of months ago that we were getting all of these, and it's word for word the exact same, because people are just sharing it, the exact same post. But mm-hmm. I just received a second friend request from you, and because I'm already a friend, I'm not going to to do anything with this, but then they'll send it to you and you see it and you,
Right.
oh my gosh, and you send it on to the next person. That then allows the person who's originally sent it to get your entire database.
Yes, this is true. As a matter of fact, I just had one of those friend requests, and it was someone that I used to work with. So we have upwards of maybe 30 plus mutual friends.
Mm-hmm.
So when I got the new Facebook friend request, it showed only 2 mutual friends. So that was a clue to me that this is not real. So I went back to the original page of that person and saw that they weren't even aware that had happened.
Yeah, and you scroll and you say, well, wait a minute, I know for a fact that I'm already friends with you.
Right.
And you can see, and then you'll say, not just delete it. But, people get so frenzied. And
yes.
they think, oh no, what's going on?
Yeah.
And they do things without calmly thinking about them.
Yes. Yes. So true.
Is there anything that people should be aware of and should do before they cause themselves more trouble?
What I will do if I see something that I have not come across before, I will research it. I will run it through Snopes. I will check, different databases to see if this is legit.
Yeah.
That's the key, is to stay relevant and to stay legitimate. So if you're sending out things to warn people, you better make sure that is truly a thing to be concerned with.
Yeah. And you mentioned Snopes. I love Snopes.
I do too.
Tell the people what it is. I'll bet you a lot of people go, huh?
Well, that is their mission, is Snopes will advise, like if it's an email on, what was the last one? Because I forwarded the post from the state attorney, Philip Archer, but it was one where you had to put a disclosure on your Facebook page saying that my pictures, my information is mine, and that I do not agree with anyone using my information. Yeah. Well, I'm here to tell you, you put it on Facebook, it's no longer yours.
Right.
So, Snopes, you can put any situation in there, and it will let you know whether or not that is a legitimate problem or not.
Yeah.
How would you explain that?
That's exactly. Yeah, that's exactly it. But it's not just with those kinds of situations.
Yes.
It's for anything. There was there was something the other day where somebody had put up this picture of these beautiful horses, and they were going to all be sent to the slaughterhouse that week.
Okay.
People didn't come and get them.
Yeah.
Buy them. And I went, because I've got a friend who's a horse fanatic, and she's constantly buying new horses. And this was somewhere in Ohio. She's in Virginia. I started to send it to her, and I don't know whether it was going to get anywhere or not. But Snopes actually said this happened 5 years ago.
Right. Absolutely.
So don't pack your bags and head to Virginia, my friend. I mean, you're not going to find the horses there. Yeah.
Right.
But if you have a question on anything that you're reading, it's a pretty good chance that there's, and sometimes Snopes will say, yes, this is
real. Yeah.
This is real. So it's not just always don't do it because it's
yes.
Sometimes it'll give you the give you the right information on it. So
yes, so true.
yeah, if anybody has any questions on any of these things, put a comment down in the bottom of this chat, and one or the other of us, I am sure, will get back with you over it, because there's so much, and as we're talking, I'm just thinking and thinking
Yes.
and thinking about all of these things. And Fireball approves. It sounds like I mentioned originally that you're also a private investigator, but you're doing all of these. How did this business get started in the first place? I mean, I think that's fascinating.
Oh, thank you, Nancy. Actually, like most businesses get started, I came across this situation. And I always think of Sarah Blakely with Spanx.
Mm-hmm.
She created what she wanted. Well, that's basically what I did too. I was in the situation where I was looking for a rental. It was last minute, so that's you're vulnerable. When you haven't taken the time, you don't have enough leadway to do the research that's required. Now, at the time, I was an insurance professional, so I knew the red flags. I am, like most private investigators and adjusters, I am cynical. I don't believe everything that I read. And I was in touch with the scammer. Now, I did not fall victim because of my background, but I did speak to someone who was my age, who was extremely embarrassed that she fell for this scam. And the remarkable thing for me is someone not in our field would believe this to be true. For instance, the email address for the person, for the owner, like I verified, and any consumer can do this. They can go on public records and they can see who the owner is of a property. So if we can do it, guess who else can do that? And that's the scammers. So this scammer was pretty sneaky because he created a Gmail email address in the name of the proper owner. I mean, who would second guess that?
Yeah.
But I learned so much from this experience, and I thought to myself, first I thought, phew, I didn't get scammed. But then I thought, you know what? Too many people are. And as persistent as this person was with me, and just really, really was diligent and really knew what they were doing. And so they, of course, they use the same tactics on other people that they did get the money from. And I thought that's it. I can't just sit by and let that happen. Not anymore, and not on my watch. So this has been extremely fulfilling for me as a business owner, because my services, I keep people from getting burned from deceitful rental ads. And this is nationwide. Now, when I mentioned the public records, not every state has public records, as you know, Nancy, but I am speaking to business owners. Not every state has public records, like California does not. So we've had a lot of business from California. And the best part of that is we actually, what happens is when someone wants to rent a property, and it could be vacation, it could be for like a traveling nurse. They travel, if you're in that profession, you're traveling 4 times a year. So you have to find accommodations. Disaster victims, now they have to find a place to stay. Well, guess what increases when a disaster strikes? Scams.
Absolutely.
That is a hotbed for scams. So what we do is when you send us the URL of the rental ad, you're out of it. We make contact. We determine if that is legitimate ad or not, or has it been hijacked. And what we do is we contact the business owner, not using the ad. We use our tools tools of the trade. So in California, that's really useful because then we contact the proper property owner, and 9 times out of 10 we hear, we're not renting our home. We've been living in our home. We have, we're not traveling anywhere. We never put up a rental ad. And so we save people thousands of dollars and the hassle. And then when you figure the embarrassment, and what about the chaos? And then, someone that I always think about as a victim in these situations, what about when you go travel to that address and you knock on the door? And then to be put in that position where you open the door and you see a family that has just given away their last dollar that they have saved. And they say, we're renting this location and you're the owner and you have to turn them away. How horrifying is that?
Yeah.
So the victims are on all sides of the transaction. It's not just the person that loses the money. So that's what I'm fighting.
Well, and I know for a fact that this is true because one of my husband's favorite television shows is Live PD.
Of course.
What else would he watch? He loves watching that. And just a couple of weeks ago, one of the segments on Live PD was a man and woman called the police because they were snowbirds or something.
Yes.
They had been away for 6 months. And they had come back to their home.
Right.
To find somebody else living there. And the people living in the home had a contract.
Yes.
A written contract showing that they were paying so much money a month.
Yes.
And, it was legit. All except for the fact that the people that they rented the house from had no right to be renting that.
Exactly. So you know what the scammers are doing? They're finding the empty homes, and they are, and I don't understand locksmiths that much, that they're actually getting the locks changed on the home. So they're showing the home. So even if it's a local transaction, you're going and, let's say you look on Craigslist and they take you to that location. They have the keys. What would be a red flag?
Yeah.
Literally nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because they're opening the house up and it's empty. And so you move in, you turn on the power and you turn and you get your cable, and that house never should have been.
And that brings up an entirely another thought that I hadn't even had. The people renting the house could also, because if the house is one of the red flags is you walk into a house and it's all decorated and there's pictures on the wall and everything else like that. But if you go into a house that's empty, those scammers have actually taken everything out of that house and sold it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Made money that way too.
Yeah, and what I'm thinking about with the long-term rentals, because we had one in Orlando that I saw the news on, and it just really broke my heart. It was a grandfather who had custody of his grandchildren. And had saved up the money. They rented the home. 2 months later, they get a knock on the door from the bank. It was a foreclosed home. There's no recourse. What do you do? I had a situation where I was helping a family member try to find a rental. And I had already started Fireball Approves at this point. So I found something that would have been right for the family and contacted the person, and it was a boilerplate message. It was, yes, this is, they had the description of the home. but they said, I am in Texas because I was in a really bad car accident. My husband is in the military, so he's not here. When you drive by, you may see a property management sign, but disregard that because I had to cancel the contract with them because they were too greedy. And we just want someone to love our house just like we did, the whole thing. And so sure enough, and I knew what I was dealing with on the first message, but I strung them along to the point where we went by the house. We saw the sign with the property manager. We called them, told them about the interaction we just had, and they said, yeah, we know. Other people have told us too. She says, I don't know what to do about this.
There's hire you.
Right. And another property manager that I met from the same thing, because the mom felt like, my daughter's moving back to town, and she sent me this ad, and she says it just sounds too good to be true. So sure enough, we contacted the owner. They said, we have a property manager. Contacted the property manager, and she said, we get this all the time. And her heart breaks because the people that send the money to the wrong person.
Yeah.
And then they contact her, and it's like, I'll try to find someplace, but now you have no security deposit. You have no first and last month's rent. There's no way to get that money back. So what the property manager was doing was, and I can understand why, but it's just not real effective, is she would copy the hijacked ad, and then she would post it on Craigslist and say, this home is not $900 a month, it's $2,700 a month. The other one is a scam, but who's going to look for that?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, jeez.
It is
so sad, and everybody listening, pray that something like this never happens to you or to anybody because you're now a little bit wiser. But when you are looking for things, when you are seeing things, stop and think.
Yeah.
Don't just immediately assume something. Take some time to do a little bit of research and track down things so that you don't get hurt in the long run.
Absolutely.
Something else, we're going to have to close in a second, but a little bit off this subject, but still on the whole scamming. My husband works for head of security for a big box store here in Michigan, and he will find people that are stealing things constantly. Everything's from, we just saw on TV that for my Walmart up north, these guys were stealing these hoverboards.
Oh, wow. Big ticket.
And they immediately turned them over and put them on Facebook under the marketplace and are selling a clue, brand new, in the box,
right,
been used. If you see signs like that, and we see them down here all the time, half hour after they've been stolen up on Facebook for sale,
right,
and it's crazy. But the cops then are going to come. They're going to arrest those guys for stealing. They very well could come and confiscate those items that you've just paid good money for. Telephones, all those kinds of things, and you're out the money. And you go, well, it's from a big box store, so what? But, eventually it's going to hurt you because the prices on those items are going to go up. You're going to wind up paying more for them. And, there's just be aware that there's so much of this going on and that you do need to protect yourself.
Yes, you do. Absolutely.
So with that, is there anything that you would like to share with our listeners before we say goodbye?
I would say be diligent just make sure that you're not accepting the first proposal, or you really have to do your homework. Just like we talked about social media, well, the same goes with your personal transactions. You need to make sure that with our new economy, our sharing economy, and this can be sharing in many different forms, to always know who you're transacting with so that you're not you're not vulnerable to be a victim or to be an accessory or to be involved with these type of transactions at any point of the time. But it's something that we're learning because it's constantly evolving. This new sharing economy that we enjoy is wonderful, to be able to do things that you normally wouldn't be able to do before this sharing economy. But then you have to know how to interact and, when to pull the trigger, when to send the money. And this is all a new market. It really is.
Right. And for anybody who is dealing with something like this or would like to maybe talk to Tammy about hiring her to fix something like this, how would someone get in touch with you?
Well, my Facebook is Fireball Approved. There's no space. They can contact me there. They can contact me on my website, fireballapproved.com. And we are on LinkedIn under my name, Tammy Sorrento, and I also have a LinkedIn page for Fireball Approves. And we are nationwide. You can see us on Twitter, on Instagram, on Pinterest. If you just search Fireball Approves, you're going to find me.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. This was so much fun, and I learned a lot.
You.
And it was just really, really, really a great hour. So I appreciate everything so much. Everybody, you can hear us on Thursdays at 5 p.m. on Spreaker.com, iHeartRadio, SoundCloud, and iTunes. Like this, download this, and subscribe so that you can hear weekly editions of wonderful information just like this on how to be safe and how to grow your business. Until we meet next time, everybody, don't sit around waiting for pigs to fly, but get out there and soar higher today. See y'all next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Don't Wait Till Pigs Fly with host Nancy Becker. Join Nancy every Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern on Global Voice Radio.